So you might be wondering why I went over the end of module assessment task first. It's because the mid-module assessment task was everything that we had gone over in class before this strange whole thing happened. So you should have been able to do this on your own, but I want to make sure that you have the answers available to you, how it's set up, but I'm not going to go through it step by step. However, here are the answers so you can check your work, make sure you've set it up correctly, and that you understand it. So the first part had to do with multiplying fractions of a whole, so multiplying fractions by whole numbers. Okay, I know I'm scrolling. Sorry, feel free to pause it if you need to look at things longer, and if you need extra time to write certain things down. Okay? So for the next part, you're looking at a bar graph and it falls somewhere between 2 and 3, but you can solve it mathematically to figure out how big the shaded part is. Part 3, figuring out which expressions are equivalent to 3/5 times 6. So most of them are equivalent. There's only one that is not, and here is kind of the rationale for that. Again, pause if you need it. Rewind. Fast forward. Question 4, you're just writing expressions. You didn't have to solve. So just make sure you're reading the word form and writing down the numbers and combining the sections that need to be done first in parentheses. B is a little tricky. Number 5 is a line plot. Lovely line plot. I know you guys love it. So between 0 and 1, there are 8 dashes, so that means each dash is worth 1/8 of a gallon. So 5/8 only appears one time. There's only one x over 5/8. That's why there's just 1 5/8. For 1 and 2/8 at this mark, there's 4 x's. That's why it's 4 times 1 and 2/8. At 1 and 5/8, there's 2. That's why it's 2 times 1 and 5/8. There's only 1 2 and 1/8 because there's only one x. And then there's 2 x's at 2 and 3/8 right here. Okay? So that's where they're coming up with the numbers. I find it easier than the way they did it if you were to take all of your whole numbers and add them together, and then all of your eighths and add them together. Whatever is more comfortable for you. Either way you do it, whether you do it this way that the module has set it up, or combining whole numbers and then fractions and then seeing what you have, either way you'll come up with 15 3/4 gallons of water collected total. Then the last page is a word problem. It kind of builds on itself. You're making a recipe for Rice Krispie treats, Crispy Rice treats, because, copyright. She's making 2/3 of the recipe, so not a whole recipe, so you have to take each of these amounts and multiply it by 2/3 in order to get the true amount that she needs for a recipe. You might think it's crazy, but I actually had to take a recipe and a half for a cake the other day, so I needed my fractions. Real life at ya. Part B, you're looking at how many fluid ounces of butter will she use. So you need to know your conversions. 1 cup equals 8 ounces. That's how they come up with 10 2/3 fluid ounces of butter. Again, if I'm going too fast or you need a certain section, please feel free to pause this video. And then for the last part, she has them cut into 30 pieces. She gives 2/5 of the treats to her son, which is quite a bit of treats, and then takes the rest of them to school. How many will she take to school? So you have to find what 1/5 of a section is. 1/5 of a section is 6. She's giving 2 of them to her son, so she's giving 12 treats to her son, and then she's taking 3/5 to school. 6 plus 6 plus 6, or 6 times 3, is 18. So she's only taking 18 treats to school, which is just over half of our class. So some of you aren't getting treats, sorry. Just kidding. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.